I'm going live for like the third, second time ever, just because. Ah, what is that noise? Oh, that is that. Okay. I mean, I haven't been on here in a while, and I thought I just want to pop on and talk to everybody. Let me just get some other stuff figured out here. There we go. That should be right. Okay, so yeah, my plan for today was to talk about some of these summer movies since summer is coming to an end. I mean, I start another semester of grad school in just tomorrow, actually. So, with that, I want to go over some of the movies that I saw over the summer, talk about my favorites, talk about some of the Easter eggs that I saw in a lot of them. I have my notebook here, I write all my Easter eggs in. And we might even go through some stuff talking about Ahsoka. So let's get into it. If I could find the page where my Easter eggs begin. So we're going to start off with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Summer kicked off big for me because Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was one of my most anticipated movies of the year. Obviously, last one, probably the last one, going to be directed by James Gunn. And the last one, as I said, with the Guardians as we know them. And I should probably say that any movie I talk about here on stream is going to be full of spoilers. It's been the whole summer, so it's just, I wanted to go talk about these in a lot of detail. Prophet DNA. Oh my goodness. Look who has entered the chat. Good to see you, Prophet. Raise his hand. Excuse me. I have a question. Yes. What is your question, Mr. Prophet? But going through it, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, I had a blast watching this movie. Me and my family all watched it. Everyone really, really liked it. Uh, I thought it was a great end to the Guardians trilogy, and we saw just some of the best lines and the best action, uh, and obviously comedy. You're going to get that always with the Guardians. But I have my list of Easter eggs here. You can see my not very good handwriting on this notebook. But you have a draft. So I think I'll just go and list through my little list of Easter eggs. And if anyone wants to call out anything in the chat, feel free to do that. Why is your black catcher playing seem very familiar to me? Who are you casting today? Oh, goodness gracious. No, 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 no. I'm not. I should say, yeah, this is not my normal setup. I'm actually traveling for work. This is not even my normal. I had like set up like a whole thing where, okay, when I travel and stream, I'm going to be like have this certain camera and this certain microphone, and that all went out the window. So I have like a combination of my home setup with my travel setup, and I'm just trying to make it work right now. Uh, but I hope that just everyone can hear me today and hear me all right, and that my camera's all right. As long as that's good, I think the stream will be okay. We're gonna go for about 2 hours. Hey, Zane, my two credits. Good to see you, man. Thanks for popping in. Uh, like I said, today we're going over all of the summer movies that I saw, and gonna go over some Easter eggs. Gonna tell you what I thought about them. You might even get to see me make a little Easter egg reel here, and I just realized I'm missing something, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Going great, Zane. So how about if anyone's here, which one is your movie? What movie have you seen over the summer that you really liked? And I think it's going to be surprising that for people knowing how much I love movies and going to the movies, that I have not seen the two biggest movies of the summer. And I think you know which two I'm talking about. Uh, Mutant Mayhem, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yes, Zane, that one I really, really love that one. Prophet says Haunted Mansion. Yes. Oh man. And I think the sad thing, and not the sad thing, I think it's good for the movies. I hope everyone really starts to go back to the movies. Movies are meant to be experienced on the big screen. No distractions. Hopefully, everyone puts their phone away, enjoying your popcorn and your soda. Streaming is a great way to go back and re-experience, to re-watch stuff, but to experience a movie for the first time, the theater is the way to do it, if you ask me. And Barbenheimer has done a great, great thing of getting people back into the movies because I mean, obviously the marketing, obviously all the things going on social media with them has just been fantastic, and it's getting people to see that like these are must-see movies. You don't want to wait for them for streaming, even though I'm going to have to for a lot of reasons. But um, I'm glad people have gone out to see them, have dressed up, have really embraced the whole theater experience of these two movies. Yeah, so let's go over Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So we have a line here from Drax where he says, "Only idiots dance," and that is just a direct callback to Volume 2, where him and Drax and Star Lord have this whole conversation about how there's dancers and there's non dancers, and Drax tells Peter, "You just have to find someone who's pathetic like you." And in reference to him and Gamora kind of not clicking at the time. But so I love that. That's a great callback. And new rock stars, what's his name? Eric Voss has a great, great theory about movies, specifically in the Marvel movies, that you have dancers and non-dancers, and you see that throughout all the characters. And it basically just means like you have the more calculated characters who take every precaution, who try to be 3 steps ahead, and then you have the dancers who are going to go with the flow. And obviously, Star Lord is a dancer. Tony Stark, Doctor Strange would be non-dancers. They really want to know everything, and I really do think that's a great analogy. We have Groot. Yes, Groot in the movie when Adam Warlock first comes in to try and kidnap Rocket. Groot encompasses Adam Warlock and starts putting all his vines around him like a cocoon. Which, if you know the comics, and if you even in the MCU, we have seen Adam Warlock in a cocoon. So I mean, that's just a little nod there, but it's very, very good. Oh my gosh, Prophet, I can see what you're doing in Discord. Alrighty, so Nebula. This was one I don't think a lot of people talked about, but Nebula, when she goes and tries to stop Adam Warlock from his attack, she has these wings that spread out, and then hey there, Gina. Good to see you. Good to see you. We were talking about summer movies today, and then people are telling me what movies have been their favorite from this past summer. So go ahead and let me know in the chat. Right now, we're going over Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I have my list of Easter eggs here. So, but Nebula has these wings. She flies up, and she also has a cannon for an arm. And if you see her next to uh, Tony Stark, Iron Man from, I believe it's Infinity War. He has very much the same setup where he has the wings and a cannon, and we know that they spent a lot of time alone on the what ship was it? The Benatar, before they were rescued by Captain Marvel. But So I don't doubt that she was inspired by that. Gina saw Barbie and definitely enjoyed it. Love to hear that. Thank you. That is a great thing to hear. I know a lot of people have seen Barbie and liked it, but like I told the chat earlier, I have not seen that one yet. I will. I will. It's just a lot of things have been getting in the way. All right. Actually, let me pull something up right here real quick. Let me pull up Nebula Wings, Guardians of the Galaxy. Images. I don't find anything exactly what I'm looking for, but oh well, here's an action figure. Yeah, focus, camera. Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm talking about with the wings and the cannon. And then if you look at Iron Man, focus, come on. What the heck is wrong with you? There you go. I think she definitely took inspiration from that. Um, really cool looking. Thank you so much, Gina. Let's see. Okay, 89P13, which is what we know Rocket is called. That's his the number that's given to him by the High Evolutionary. That goes all the way back to the first Guardians of the Galaxy when all the Guardians are arrested by the Nova Corps, and they all have their little profiles with where they're from, their known aliases, known accomplices, crimes that they've committed and stuff. And Rocket on his little file says 89P13, so that has followed him ever since he escaped from the High Evolutionary. We get the name drop. High Evolutionary calls Adam the Warlock of his people because he goes by the full Adam Warlock in the comic books. Gina, thank you so much for the lurk. Brave of you to think that I actually have commands and stuff. I have only been live like 3 times. I don't even know what I would put lurk. I've seen a lot of really cool ones. I mean, fandom related lurks, lurking in the multiverse, lurking in the what is magical Tina have? She has lurking in the Forbidden Forest. Uh, Amish Ace has Order Lurky Lurk, which I really like. Also, one day you will. Thank you so much, Prophet. And thank you so much for you and Mrs. Prophet for uh, supporting me really in this a lot and getting me to 50 followers. That means a lot to me. It really does. So what else do we have? Oh, Mantis. When we have she and Mantis, Drax, and Star Lord are all having a conversation there, and when she's talking about how Earth people on Earth only live to their 50, and she thinks Peter's gonna die, and Peter says that he's not even close to 50, even though what's he like? He's got to be like 40, early 40s MCU timeline, at least like around the same age as what Chris Pratt is in real life. But she does say that Peter's grandfather may still be alive, and the audience will know that he is before he's even seen, because in volume 2, when Ego's flower plant starts growing, and we do see Peter's grandfather in a car trying to drive away from it. Drax is eating Zarg nuts, but he's always eating Zarg nuts in Infinity War, in the holiday special. So that's just kind of a continuation that they have there. Drax notes that. Red is in the when he's talking about the buttons on their suits, and Peter Quill's all confused about. He thought the color of the button matched the suit it would go to, so he clicked the blue button to talk to Gamora, but then but it actually opens up the channel to all the suits, and he starts talking, and everyone can hear the conversation he's trying to have with Gamora. But Drax does note that red is green, green is red, and it's interesting that he says that in particular because in the comics he's mainly drawn as green and red, whereas in the MCU they kind of made him that more bluish gray color with the more muted red tattoos and veins. Hey Tina, how's it going? How's it going? We're going over summer movies. I'm gonna go through Easter eggs in pretty much every movie I've seen this summer. Maybe I'll go into a little bit of shows and stuff too. But yeah, everyone is letting me know what their favorite movie from the summer was. So if you want to let me know, I'd be glad to hear it. Right now, we're going over Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I'm going to be going over all my Easter eggs that I have written down in my little Moleskin Star Wars notebook. I am doing great, Tina. How are you? Trying to make sure all my wires are okay. I have a travel setup here because I'm traveling for work, and I'm just hoping everything doesn't crash, basically. So where was I here? Jennifer Holland makes a cameo. Jennifer Holland is the wife of James Gunn, who is the director of all three Guardians of the Galaxy movies. He obviously also directed, was it The Suicide Squad, and Jennifer Holland first made her debut in that movie, I believe, in The Suicide Squad, and then she's been in the DC universe for longer. She was in that one. She showed up in the Peacemaker series, in Black Adam, and then in the post-credits scene of Shazam: Fury of the Gods. They also and then she makes a cameo here at Orgo Corp, and then she gets shot in the leg. She's not going to be a main character. Obviously, I know James Gunn is just putting his wife in there for a quick cameo, but fun to see her nonetheless. Cam looks really good. I hope so. This was not the most expensive camera, but I did want to spend money on a good camera, mainly for I use this thing for everything. I use it for travel vlogs. Well, vlogs, I should say. I take it on travel to take pictures and some video, um, for streaming and for even like video meetings and stuff that I have for school and work. So if it didn't have good quality, I would be very upset. But I do want another one because uh, mainly just for the battery, I am limited by the single battery charge it has on this, and then I either have to replace the battery or plug. I can't even plug it in. No, I have to just replace the battery, which is a pain. Yeah. So what else? Oh, Quill has the data cube for Rocket. He starts tossing it up and down like a baseball, and if you notice, he kind of also does that as a bit of a way to fidget with the orb in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. It's a really good scene, a really good scene, a really funny scene in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 because he's tossing the orb up and down like a baseball and actually drops it, but then he kind of stays in character as he's fumbling, and so they use that take, and it's a just a just a fun way to add to Star Lord's character. Ura, yes. So they meet a character called Ura there at Orgocorp, and she is played by the same actress who played Ratcatcher in The Suicide Squad, and these are both James Gunn directed movies, so you know directors love to use the same actors across their projects. I think Christopher Nolan is the one I noticed the most with him using Christian Bale, Matt Damon, um, what's his name? The guy who played Alfred in the Batman. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna blank on his name. James Caan? Well, no, not James Caan. Michael Caine. That's his name. Michael Caine, who played Alfred in the Dark Knight series. And oh, Phyla Vell. So we do. meet this one with this one child, really. So she is in the prison where all the other children are when Nebula, Mantis, and Drax are trying to free them, and she actually ends up being named in the credits as Phyla Vell, who in the comics becomes the character known as Quasar. And we do see her at the end with her eyes glowing, so she obviously has powers. I don't doubt that they're laying the groundwork for some future characters down the road. But we only get a quick glimpse of it as we see the new Guardians of the Galaxy, which is Rocket, Groot, Adam Warlock, Kraglin, Cosmo the Space Dog, and Phyla Vell. Oh, throughout the movie, we hear the phrasing that it's going to be a face-off, and definitely, if you've seen the movie, you know that. And I'm going into spoilers anyway because for all these movies, but yes, they do literally peel the High Evolutionary's face right off because that's from when Rocket scratched them all up. Oh, Groot says, "I love you guys." This is probably one of my favorite Easter eggs uh, in Marvel, really, because obviously throughout the movies, any movies you see or hear Groot in, it's always just "I am Groot." But Rocket understands him, and then eventually all the other Guardians too. So when he says "I love you guys," that is like a nod to the audience that we have spent enough time with Groot to just understand him um, in our own language, which is like that's just a sweet way to end the trilogy. And we know there's going to be more because all the characters are still alive. We know they're going to be brought back in some capacity. I don't think they would just end it there. Usually, when you've spent so much time with these characters, gotten to know them so much, um, you can see them ride off into the sunset, but you kind of really want to know how their story ends if they went out in battle uh, or some other way. So I don't doubt we'll get some more answers on that later on. Oh, post credit scene. So we do get a post credit scene of Chris Pratt, Star Lord, going to visit his grandfather back on Earth, and his grandfather's reading a newspaper where there's a headline about Kevin Bacon being abducted by aliens, and that calls back to the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special where Mantis and Drax kidnap Kevin Bacon for Christmas to bring back to Star Lord, which is I love the holiday special. That was one of my favorite things Marvel did last year. Um, and then we get the end title, The Legendary Star Lord will return. So it looks like they'll be setting up a standalone project for Chris Pratt Star Lord, especially because Legendary Star Lord was the name of a comic series that was just Star Lord away from the Guardians having his own adventure. So I expect that there'll be some connection to that. But other than that, that's a wrap on everything I have on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Again, one of my favorite movies of the summer, probably my favorite movie of the summer, and that is just the first one I have gone through. But had a really good time watching that one. Loved all the merch I got. The Guardians of the Galaxy Cup from the local Cinemark, and then I also they were handing out posters, and it was a really awesome posters. Haven't gotten into the Guardians movies yet. Well, don't until you watch the rest of Marvel, because I have seen people do that. I don't, and I do not condone that. Sorry. Let me tell you something about Marvel movies. Just because like there's like Guardians 1, Guardians 2, Guardians 3, that's not the order you watch them in. It's Guardians and then Infinity War and then Endgame and then you can move on to Guardians 3 and then there's a whole bunch of stuff in between there. I had my friend which one did he watch? Oh, so he had watched Spider-Man Homecoming, the first one with Tom Holland Spider-Man. And he said, "Oh, I've already watched that, so I can watch Spider-Man Far From Home." And there was a lot of movies in between there that were spoiled for him for watching Far From Home because he didn't watch the Marvel movies in order because oh no, the Marvel movie I can't do it. It's too much. I'm like, then don't do it because then he's complaining that he got spoiled. I'm like, it's your own fault, dude. I warned you. I tried to warn you. I'm trying to get into Marvel. Do or do not. There is no try, Gina. DC Comics for sure, Gina. Yes. Well, I'll be more excited for DC when the universe gets rebooted by James Gunn. I do have faith in James Gunn to rebuild the universe. Even though I don't really see a direction with the movies he announced, because he announced a lot of projects that were only quote unquote only part of phase one of the storytelling, and I was like, okay, you have Batman, you have Superman movie, but then you have the Elite, not the Elite, the Authority, Swamp Thing. Which one else did he mention? Booster Gold and Green Lantern, and normally I would just say like, why don't we kind of just stick to your main superheroes and build up your Justice League, and then you can kind of spread out to your Authority, Booster Gold, Doom Patrol, stuff like that. But I still have faith. We'll see how it is. I really like the casting for Superman and Lois Lane that they announced. I am excited to see who they cast as Batman and as Batman's son. You like Batman? I thought you were Batman. That's your username. All right, so the next movie to go on to is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and that one, whew, that is storytelling, visually, character-wise, musically. They really do a great job with both of these Spider-Verse films, and I'm really excited to see what happens with the third and final installment. Yes. Well, if you say try, I'm going to tell you do or do not, there is no try. Yoda has been saying it for 40 plus years. All right, Spider Man Across the Spider Verse. And let me just show you real quick. So, focus. Thank you. So, this was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So, almost the full page. And this is Spider Man Across the Spider Verse, which takes up this whole page and like half the next one. So there was a lot of Easter eggs in Across the Spider Verse, mainly visually, um, because they can play around with that. They can really get crazy with like the background, with stuff the characters are wearing, little nods here and there to comics, to past movies, sometimes just to other pop culture references. So Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Ah, yes. So you have the Marvel logo flipping through, and at one point you have Miles Morales put his signature on the Marvel logo. So that's just a nice little detail because he goes around what's the tagging, graffitiing all over Brooklyn. Charlie likes Lightning McQueen. Does that count? But does that count for what? Okay, so oh, Lord, Phil Lord and what's Miller's name? I forgot their names, but Lord and Miller, who also did the Lego Movie, who did 21 Jump Street. They actually show their faces in this like old timey ad for mustache ointment. It was like really bizarre, but I recognized them right away as the opening titles were coming up for this movie. So if you don't know if you don't know what these directors look like, you'll get to see them right there at the beginning. Miles and Gwen selfie, Peter Lemire from Spider. Ah, yes. So Gwen, I believe, has a has her screensaver as a selfie that she and Miles took in into the Spider Verse, and it's funny because you can see Peter B. Parker's leg because he's sleeping on the couch on the what is it on the bus bench behind them, and it's just funny that you can see his leg there. But it's the photo that they took in the first movie is now her screensaver in this movie. So we get this opening, which is really stunning. The way they animate the different universes, uh, so you can see just how different they are. And we start off in Gwen Stacy's universe. Gwen Stacy being Spider Gwen, Spider Woman, Ghost Spider, a lot of different aliases, but mainly Spider Woman in this universe. And so you can see the different color palette throughout this opening scene. And she's talking about her best friend, who is Peter Parker in this universe. And at one point, he wears this polo shirt that is purple, white, and like teal green color, and that's the same type of shirt that Peter Parker wears in the animated Spider-Man series from the '90s. A little visual nod there, and it's super quick because she's telling the story of how she became Spider-Woman, and it's just flipping through this timeline of her at school, her getting the powers, her and Peter. So it's really better when you get to get this movie at home or digital and be able to pause and see all these little details. Oh, and okay, so something else he wears a lizard shirt. So spoiler for why do I keep saying that? Because I'm going to go through spoilers in all these movies. But they go through just the timeline, and it's Halloween at one point, and Peter Parker is wearing a big dinosaur lizard costume, and in this universe, he will become the lizard, and unfortunately, perish in a battle with Spider Woman, and then Gwen just feels horrible about that. That's gonna be it's her canon event for this movie. Every Spider-Man has their event that kind of puts them on their heroic journey. And for Gwen, it was the death of her best friend. Love the Lego movie. I love that movie too. Um, and I didn't see that movie in theaters. I saw that one. Pretty sure I rented it. And watched it at home, and I was like, how did I miss this movie? This is really fun, really hilarious, and of course, lots of Lego nods and just a stacked cast with Chris Pratt, Morgan Freeman, Liam Neeson, uh, what's his name, uh, Will Arnett, obviously as Lego Batman. Lots of cool stuff there. J.K. Simmons, who plays J. Jonah Jameson, who obviously the main editor of the Daily Bugle in every Spider-Man universe. Well, he voices the same character in every universe we see in this movie, and you see him on the TV in Gwen's universe. You see him in the Lego universe, and then I think you get a brief glimpse of him in Miles's universe, I believe. One of those. This was a really good one here. So Peter Parker is the school nerd, and he's always getting bullied, and it shows that his main bully is Ned Leeds, which in other universes, Ned Leeds is his best friend. So again, just showing this differences between the different universes, especially when if you were to tell people who know the story of Spider-Man, either from the comics, from the TV, or from the movies, you would know that his main bully is Flash Thompson. So to see it being Ned Leeds is really wild to see. And Gwen went to Vision's Academy. So does my. Oh, I didn't. Wow, I don't even remember this. So yeah, Gwen went to Vision's Academy, and then and Miles goes to the same school in his own universe. So they both go to Vision's Academy. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be a reference to Vision from like the Marvel character Vision, or if that's just something from the comics that I would need to dig more into that. Oh, when Gwen shows up, obviously as Spider Woman, and her father is there, she purposely lowers her voice so they won't recognize her. And she got that from Miles, who also lowers his voice when he talks to pretty much anyone that he would be familiar with while he's in his Spider-Man costume. Hmm, we get that whole bit where Miguel O'Hara uh, is talking about the different universes, and he get talks about Doctor Strange and the nerd from Earth 199999, referencing the events of Spider-Man No Way Home, with Doctor Strange and Tom Holland Spider-Man messing with the multiverse there. And that's just a great entrance. I love that whole opening scene in this movie where you have um, the Vulture from the Renaissance universe, Spider-Man 2099 from his universe, alternate universe, Spider-Woman, but not Gwen Stacy Spider-Woman. It is Jessica Drew Spider-Woman. And just to have all these different characters from different universes battling together, great way to open the movie. And it's a cold open, and it's a pretty long cold open when you feel like you're already set in the movie. This whole scene goes by, and then they show the title card, and then you get into Miles Morales and starting his story. So that's uh, it really entertaining, and it's like you're in for a ride when you know something like that happens. That's okay. So Gwen she sees Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099, sees his blue and red costume, starts trying to guess his name, and calls him the Blue Panther, reference to Black Panther, calls him the Caped Blue Satyr, obviously because Batman is the Caped Crusader. She calls him something else too that I don't think I wrote down. Oh, she calls him something Garfield. She calls him Garfield something like Dark Garfield, I think, which is a reference to uh, Andrew Garfield, Spider Man. Hmm. Okay, so we get the whole montage of Miles fighting different villains in the whole time that he's been Spider Man since the last movie, and you get a brief glimpse of Leapfrog. And Leapfrog is a villain who made his live action debut last year in She Hulk. Fun fact: the actor who played Leapfrog actually liked one of my reels and shared it on his story. Okay, Miles talks about endorsing the baby powder. And that it helps him with his suit because from chafing in the Spider-Man suit, but uh, that's obviously not was not a good idea, and he had to apologize for it. But he got that idea actually from Peter B. Parker because he does mention using baby powder in the previous film. Hmm. Oh, when they're all fighting the Renaissance Vulture, Miguel notes that the Vulture has what's called hammer space, and connecting to some dots there, it's kind of like not direct, but if you go back to Into the Spider Verse and you had Peter Porker, Spider Ham, and he was able to pull a hammer out of nowhere because he's kind of meant to be like a Looney Tunes character, and they have no pockets, but they can pull anvils and hammers out of nowhere. That's what they actually gave a reference to this in terms of multiverse logic as hammer space. Okay, so then we have the Spot, the main villain of this universe, who's going through different universes, and then he ends up in Mrs. Chen's store from the Venom universe, which is like they always want to go back. I like when they cross over the animated and the live action stuff. That is something they did a lot in this movie, especially with Donald Glover, who shows up dressed as the Prowler. And I think they did confirm that he did come from the main timeline MCU. Um, can't confirm, but I think that's what I remember hearing last. Let's see what we got here. Oh, he does grab a pack of gum that's called Brock's Venomint. Brock's Venomint. So that's a combination of Eddie Brock, who is Venom, So that's a lot of little combination name there. Spider-Man Homecoming. Okay, I just said that. Oh, Spider-Punk. Spider-Punk, Hobie Brown was a great addition to this movie. He was able to, if you notice, when they're walking through Miguel's lab, he's always grabbing different bits of tech, and at the end, he builds his own multiverse watch, and you kind of put together like, oh, that's what he was getting all the tech for. Hmm. Okay, so we get this whole bit of canon events, which is just, like I said, it's the main event that has to happen in a Spider Man's universe, or else the universe will fall apart. And we get live action cameos. Well, yeah, kind of cameos, but they are just reusing old footage of Andrew Garfield with Captain Stacy from The Amazing Spider Man. You get Tobey Maguire Spider Man with his Uncle Ben. Uh, you, oh, you get the 90s. Oh, no, that's going back. That's going too far. Yeah, but you get different Spider-Man and the death of a loved one who ends up putting them on their heroic path. And then you have the training room where, in the training room where all the Spider-Man work on their different fighting styles and stuff. One of them pops up, one of these holograms pops up, and it's Doc Ock from the 90s animated Spider Man, but the voice is Alfred Molina, who played him in live action in the Tobey Maguire Spider Man and Spider Man No Way Home. He even says, Hello, Peter, which is a line from Spider Man No Way Home. Who else? Oh, we go back to Miles's dorm room, and his roommate is actually playing the Spider-Man 2 video game, which would not be out yet at the time of the release of the movie, if I have the timing correct there. So but it's all within Sony, so I'm sure they let them use some footage that was already ready to show in the movie. Oh my, oh yes, Lord and Miller in the beginning. Look, I don't know the exact story behind it, but usually in their movies, when the opening titles come up, you always hear a cough, and obviously in comics, stuff like that is usually written out. And during the opening titles of this movie, in the corner of the screen, it just says cough. Let's see. I already did that. I already talked about that. And Oh, Miles makes this line about wanting to see a vampire good guy. Um, Most likely a reference to Morbius, who is obviously in the Spider-Man universe, and it was another Sony movie. Okay, so then we get at the Spider-Verse headquarters. This was really cool. I had to go back and watch a video on this, but the famous Spider-Man popsicle is one of the spider variants in the headquarters, which is really crazy that they wanted to include that, but that was hilarious that somebody caught that and that it could actually be confirmed if you pause it at the right time. Let's see. Oh, Mayday Parker, Peter B. Parker's daughter, wears a wears Spider Ham pajamas, so that's a cute little nod. Oh, these are just what did I have here? Oh, I have some notes about like they always change some stuff in the universe of whatever Spider-Man it is that reference stuff in the real world. One second. Okay, sorry about that. But he has some trading cards that are called Teriyaki Teriyaki which is obviously a reference to Pokemon in the real world. I know that there is a poster that shows Blake Griffin playing professional baseball. In the real world, he's a professional basketball player. And oh, this was the craziest part. But the big twist at the end of the movie is that you see the alternate version of Miles Morales, who is the Prowler in that universe, and we know that the spider that bit main universe Miles came from that other universe, and that's why they both end up together at the end. But in this little flashback where they're talking about the spider from the alternate universe, it was going to bite that other Miles Morales. You just see the back of his head briefly, and you see his braided hair pattern. But yeah, ends on that cliffhanger. No extra credit scenes, and I think that was just really smart because both Into the Spider Verse and Beyond the Spiders, I think both complete really both tell really complete stories. Obviously, it ends on a cliffhanger, but if they ended it there, I think that would just be like they do that a lot, where you kind of just leave the audience, whether it be a book or a show, to their own imaginations, and uh, they can think whatever they think of it. But both these films, I think, are spectacular. Into the Spider Verse, another great one. Whew. I mean, I've talked about two movies so far: Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and Spider Man Across the Spider Verse. And I am going to need a drink, so I'll be right back. I haven't water. Much better. All right. We have Transformers Rise of the Beasts. And this one's going to be a short one. Check this out. It's like not even half a page of Easter eggs there. Because I think it's kind of hard to do Easter eggs specifically for this one. Because the only Easter eggs you can kind of do is like references to maybe some comics, to some animated shows, and then what you can reference the Michael Bay films, which Michael Bay is, I believe, is still executive producer, even though it is a reboot and a new universe. But so then you would just be referencing the past films. But let's get into it. What was that? Oh yes, Triple X vitamin water. What is it? Acai, blueberry, and pomegranate. Sweet, fruity, one of my favorites. I like this one, and I like Energy, which is a citrus flavor. So Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. We see the symbols for the Predacons, the Maximals, the Autobots, and the Decepticons. And up until this point, we had only seen Autobots and Decepticons. So this is the first time we're seeing Maximals, and getting just the logo for the Predacons on the character of Scourge, who is our main antagonist in this movie, voiced by Peter Dinklage, who does a great job. I think him as Scourge and what's his name? Oh, I'm gonna blank on his name. But the guy that voiced Ultron in Avengers: Age of Ultron, I think both of them as just having their voices being menacing on villainous robots, I think is excellent casting. Mrs. Prophet favorite Triple X, yes, excellent choice there. Let's see what we got here. Oh, when our main character is fixing up some old tech. He's fixing up it's a VCR, and he has it hooked up to a small TV. And you see briefly on the screen Tupac Shakur in the movie Juice. And this movie takes place in the 90s, so you see a lot of Air Jordans, you see Power Rangers, you see that era technology with TVs and VHS players and all that. Oh, this was something somebody had to point this out to me. I saw a video on it, but the little brother of the main character, Chris, he wears a Power Rangers T-shirt, and Power Rangers is also owned by Hasbro, just like Transformers. So maybe there'll be a connection there. I was talking to people, and I was thinking about how in those comic books where you have all these crossovers, and I know the Power Rangers have crossed over with the Justice League, I believe. But if they're actually owned by Hasbro, I really don't see that as a stretch to them possibly combining those universes, especially since they scrapped the Power Rangers live action movies that they were doing after the first one. I know the second one was planned, but after they saw that the first one did not perform too well, they canceled it. I did actually go see that first Power Rangers movie in theaters. Uh, oh, when when he goes to his interview to be like a security guard, there's a guy at the front desk, and he has a little TV on his desk, and he's actually watching the O.J. Simpson trials. So you're placing the exact time frame of this movie in 94 ish. I know that was going on at the same time as the Houston Rockets were in the NBA Finals. Hmm. Okay, so the character Mirage, his car form is a Porsche. Porsche. Do we have the exact brand? Well, they probably do, but I didn't write it down. But he takes the form of a Porsche, and said that this was an intentional choice because obviously these movies were originally directed by and still being produced by Michael Bay, and Michael Bay also did the movie Bad Boys, in which the characters drive a Porsche in that movie as well. We do get a mention. Scourge mentions Primus, and Primus is the basically the god of the Transformers. He created all the Transformers, and his body actually becomes not Unicron. Should read my notes. Scourge. He's the twin of Unicron, and his body becomes the planet Cybertron. There we go. And the Primal says that, okay, so we get the famous line where the Optimus Primal says that there's more to human than meets the eye, which actually comes from the Transformers theme song, Transformers, Robots in Disguise, more than meets the eye. And finally, at the very end, that was the big twist at the end where Noah, our main character, is given a business card by this kind of shady, secretive character. He flips the card over and it says G.I. Joe. And so they obviously have plans to cross over G.I. Joe with Transformers. And again, both are Hasbro licensed properties. So I don't doubt that they want to take that and try to merge it, try to get boost in popularity for both, which I'm very interested to see. Honestly, I think that would be interesting. But other than that, that's all I've got for Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. Let's see what else we got here. Whew. Moving on to The Flash. That was the big DC movie release of this year. I definitely, and I say that just because I feel they've been pushing that one in terms of marketing, in terms of on social media and all that, more than say Blue Beetle and Aquaman 2 that's supposed to come out in December. I don't know if the writer strikes and actor strikes are going to end up pushing that back. I think it's done actually. Like it has already been edited and all the graphics and stuff are done with it, so it might still come out. I know that they had pushed it back a few times, so I think this may end up being the final date for it. But Let's go into the Flash. How many Easter eggs I got this one? Just about a page worth. Okay, so we start off the movie with Philby's Cafe. Philby being a character in H. Okay, so it's called Philby's Cafe, and Philby is a character in an H.G. Wells book called The Time Machine, which, of course, this movie deals with a lot of. Oh, sorry. Give me 1 second. Sorry, what was I? I gotta take this. Let's see. Sorry about that. Yep, just had a school thing pop up there for just a moment. Okay, so getting into the Flash, Philby's Cafe. Philby is a character in H.G. Wells' The Time Machine, and of course, this movie deals with time travel, multiverse, and all that stuff. So they're making a bit of a connection there. Carbs, yeah. Barry needs a lot of carbs to keep his energy up because he uses a lot of it to obviously use his super speed. I don't remember that being a lot. The main reference I have to the Flash is in the Justice League animated show that was in early, yeah, early to mid 2000s. But I'm sure but that is a Justice League reference. We do see we do see Barry eating a lot in this universe. When we first meet him in Justice League, he's like eating a whole pizza by himself. He's chowing down, trying to get his energy up. So they're just carrying on that character trait into this film. When we meet Barry in the alternate universe, Keaton Batman throws like a piece of what does he throw? He throws a pan at him, and it everything slows down because Barry can use his super speed. He sees everything in slow motion, and he just turns and dodges it. And that's really a callback to again Justice League, where we have the original Barry. He's talking to Ben Affleck, Bruce Wayne, and he throws a batarang at him. Same thing, does the same move and dodges it. Really good paralleling there. Oh, and then we meet. Speaking of Ben Affleck, Bruce Wayne, he does wear this suit that is like gray and blue with a yellow utility belt, so he's looking like a very classic comic book Batman, and that's like a really cool breath of fresh air, just because we haven't seen anything like that going all the way back to Adam West Batman, who of course had that really bright, loud suit. But other than that, from Keaton to Bale to Pattinson, it's all black and gray, very dark colors, which is good for Batman. But I think it's also cool to see other variations of his suit that we know from comics and animated shows and things like that. So then we, so the villains at the beginning who are like robbing a bank are named the Falcones, and they are actually just comics. That's just a reference to the comics. That is a crime family that is known around Gotham City. This was one I had seen online, but they have there's a poster of actress Raquel Welch from the movie 1 Million Years BC. and Barry he phases through it to go steal beer from his neighbors because he doesn't have anything in his fridge, and really deep cut because in the movie The Shawshank Redemption, there is this same poster, and behind the poster is the hole that the characters escape through, and so it's kind of the same thing using this poster as a secret tunnel, basically. But I had also seen online that Stephen King, who is obviously famous author of The Shawshank Redemption, he was very much praising The Flash as a movie, and it's kind of people are thinking like, are you just doing that because they reference your film kind of in this movie? Which I don't doubt. I think anytime you put a nod and a wink to somebody else's properties, to somebody else's stories, I think they are just very appreciative of that. What's popping up here? Uh, okay, so then Hmm. Okay, so then we have a flashback to Batman versus Superman, and which in itself is a flashback to Man of Steel, but it's during the Battle of Metropolis when Superman is fighting Zod, and in Batman versus Superman, we see Bruce running to the fray and try to rescue this. Well, he does kind of comfort this little girl, and in much the same way, we see that Barry was also at the Battle of Metropolis. He just got his powers. He wasn't really used to using them, but he is trying to comfort this little boy. So another parallel there of these two heroes. We get a cameo from Tamara Morrison, who plays Aquaman's father in Aquaman, but other people might know him better as I know him better as Boba Fett. Uh, but in this universe, since Barry changed the timeline, he is not married to the Queen of Atlantis, and therefore Aquaman does not exist in that universe, and that is the first tip off to Barry that something is really wrong in this world. They go on this whole tangent about 80s movies and the main actors in each one, which I love. I love all these movies that they're talking about, and it's just funny that they're talking about Back to the Future, which again, time travel movie, alternate timelines, and that's very much what this movie, what The Flash deals with. And so they're talking about Eric Stoltz, who is the main character, Marty McFly in Back to the Future. Barry keeps correcting them, saying that no, it was Michael J. Fox. And if you know the story, that you would know that Eric Stoltz was going to be cast as well. He was cast as Marty McFly in Back to the Future. they the studio wanted Michael J. Fox. Michael J. Fox was too busy doing Family Ties, and so they just basically went to their second option, Eric Stoltz, and they're basically like, this guy is not cutting it. We still want Michael J. Fox, and I feel really bad for Eric Stoltz because he basically gets let go from the movie after he's filmed quite a few scenes, quite a few large part of the movie, and then told, "Yeah, you're not going to be in it. We're going with our first option." And they were able to bring in Michael J. Fox, but I think like the deal was Family Ties had to take priority, so they would have to move their shooting schedule around when Family Ties was shooting. But I have the list here. So they say Eric Stoltz was in Back to the Future and not Michael J. Fox. Michael J. Fox was in Footloose, but which would have been Kevin Bacon, but Kevin Bacon was in Top Gun. And I hope I did not confuse anybody, especially if you have not seen these movies. And just for good measure, I'm going to tell you the correct one. So Michael J. Fox is the star of Back to the Future, Kevin Bacon is the star of Footloose, and Tom Cruise is the star of Top Gun. Uh, and then which is another thing. Tom Cruise was very much promoting this movie. He has been, again, such a hero for getting people back into the theaters. He's been posting pictures of him watching Indiana Jones, Barbie, Oppenheimer. What is this? But yeah, they have him and Barry and his roommates having all this conversation about 80s movies is a lot of fun for me to watch to see them all get them confused, especially when the guy picks up his leg and shows that he has a tattoo of Eric Stoltz, supposedly from Back to the Future. That was a hilarious bit. So the second Barry find he's going through the back cave and he's looking at all the gadgets and he finds a bag and he opens it up and it starts laughing. You hear this little voice box laughing inside, and that's a reference to the first Michael Keaton Batman film where the Joker is on the ground dead and is it yeah it's Commissioner Gordon who comes up and pulls the bag that laughs out of his pocket. There. We have Keaton doing two of his famous lines. He says, "I'm Batman," and he says, "Let's get nuts." To obviously two lines from his first Batman movie. You get a this. This is always going to be one of my favorite things, but it is the Batwing when it flies up and it's framed by the moon, creating the bat signal. It's just really awesome imagery, made iconic in the first Batman movie, and then they've used it several times. They've used it in video games. They use it in this movie. But anytime you see the Batwing against the moon, creating the bat symbol, it's a beautiful thing. And Oh, Batman is trying to help everyone escape, and he asks everyone how much they weigh, and that's a callback to the 1989 film. Same kind of thing. He asks Vicky Vale how much she weighs, and so that he knows like how much force on the rockets to put on it. Okay. Kara notes that the S on her symbol stands for hope, which we know all the way back to Man of Steel when Superman Kal-El also says that his symbol is not just an S, but on his planet it stands for hope. The director of this movie, Andrew Muschietti, he also makes a brief cameo in this film, eating a hot dog, which then the Flash steals to eat so he can uh, load up on energy. Hmm. So this was uh, big scene toward the climax of the movie where you see all the different universes colliding. You see George Reeves Superman from a very old Superman series, but it's him and there's these robots from a specific episode of that series. Then you have Jay Garrett Flash. Uh, but they actually use Jay Garrett Flash from the Flash TV show, but he was not actually there. They kind of just used old footage and did some CGI and extra graphics to make it look like that he was doing a new scene. We get a digital Christopher Reeves, obviously one of the most iconic Superman characters ever, or Superman actors ever. And then next to him is Helen Slater, which that was something I had a question for a long time. I knew, and I've seen these movies, the Christopher Reeve Superman movies, several times, and I knew about the Helen Slater Supergirl movie. I did not know whether or not they were supposed to be in the same universe, but this one kind of confirming that it is. I'm pretty sure a lot of people had already known that. Get a brief glimpse of Adam West Batman, of course, and then we get the really deep cut of seeing Nicolas Cage as Superman. And if you don't know the story there, it's a crazy story. It was a movie supposed to be called Superman Lives, and Nicolas Cage was actually cast. he actually was fitted for the suit. There's pictures of him wearing the Superman suit and everything, but the movie did not end up going forward, and it's because the guy that owned the rights at the time, he had some crazy demands for the film. Um, Kevin Smith, who was going to be a writer on the movie, was actually there for talking about the demands that this guy asked, and he said like, uh, in this movie, if you're going to make a Superman movie, Superman can't fly, which is one of the craziest things. It's like it's Superman. That's one of the his main powers he's known for having. He's then also he says that he can't be in the blue suit again. How are you going to have Superman without him being in the blue suit? And the final battle has to be against a giant spider. I This is what Kevin Smith said. This interview has you can find it on the internet. He was a writer, going to be a writer on this movie. He was surely in those conversations, in these meetings with production and the people who own the rights to it. So um, I'm kind of taking him at his word, but I think it is okay to do that for this one. But crazy, crazy thing to hear about that. Um, but then but they're paying homage to that by showing Nicolas Cage fighting a giant spider in just a brief glimpse here, which is deep cut, but that was my favorite Easter egg from this whole movie. And then of course you end the movie with George Clooney, Bruce Wayne coming up to greet Barry, showing that Barry thought he put everything back, but he didn't, and he's probably going to be dealing with those. Well, in that universe, be dealing with those consequences for a long time. But it doesn't look like we'll ever see quite the end of that as we move on to the rebooted DC universe. And of course, we get the end credits scene with him talking to Aquaman in how every universe the Flash visits is a different Batman, which, of course, just a reference to all the different actors that played Batman over the years. And that is all I have on the Flash. Whew. So it was a fun movie. It was wacky. Lots of great DC comics and DC animated and other DC references. I totally forgot. I think I just skipped right over it of the Wonder Woman cameo in this movie, which someone said like it's kind of mean for the studio to do this. How the Wonder Woman 3 movie is up in the air if it's going to be part of if it's going to be part of James Gunn's universe, if it's going to be Elseworlds, if it's even going to happen at all. But they keep putting her in cameos like they did in Shazam earlier this year, and now in The Flash. Now let's get into some Disney Pixar. So the next movie I have here is Elemental, and I think a lot of people slept on this movie. I will say very much so that I enjoyed this movie. I was very much surprised by how much I enjoyed it. I really liked the plot, the characters, the world that they created in this movie, and the music in it. I thought was also very good. So Elemental Easter eggs. A113. A113 is a Easter egg that is primarily known as a Pixar Easter egg because it's in, I want to say all the movies, but there's this whole thing about how you can't quite find it in Monsters Inc. There's been some uh, people who have thought that maybe this is how they do it in some other creative way, but it's never been quite confirmed where it is in Monsters Inc., but I'm sure it's in there somewhere. Uh, but A113 actually shows up here, and what happens is you see the chemical symbols for hydrogen and aluminum, and if you take the atomic numbers, it's a atomic number 1 and then atomic number 13, A113. There you go. Firetown Station has the chemical symbols S and C for sulfur and carbon, which are both elements associated with burning Firetown. They're trying to play on that theme there. We see obviously some different fictional brands, but references to things in the real world, like a Tree Yoda truck, Tree Yoda being a toy Yoda truck. Some little world building here, like we see families, a fire family who is pushing their baby in a stroller, but the stroller is actually a barbecue pit, and instead of baby formula, it's lighter fluid. Uh, we do see a globe of what this world looks like, and we see that Fireland was actually the smallest part of it. So they really were like the minority of this whole elemental world, and moving to Elemental City to start a new life and to build a new future for them. They saw you can really see that they're taking a bigger risk there than staying with their people on their home country. They see Okay, so when they're going, what are the names? Ember and Wade are going on their date. The movie is called Pride and Prejudice, obviously a reference on Pride and Prejudice. And then there's also a poster for The Good Element, a reference to the Pixar movie The Good Dinosaur, which was directed by Peter Sun, who also directed this movie. Pizza Planet Truck. Pizza Planet Truck also shows up a lot in Pixar movies. I believe this is one that has been confirmed to show up in all of them. But since it's in the water section of Elemental City, it's a Pizza Planet boat. Uh, Oh, and then there's a flashback with Wade at his school, and on the walls is a poster for Joint Space Club, and this is something that Pixar always does is leave a reference to their next movie in the current movie that's out, and Join the Space Club is a reference to their next movie, which is called Elio, and it has to do with this kid who gets abducted by aliens. So you can see the crossover there. And the final shot. Final shot, I thought this was great imagery. You have Ember as she is leaving Elemental City with Wade, and she's stepping onto the boat to leave. It's very much a parallel to her father stepping off the boat into Elemental City, and just a great way to close the story there. Jaycon, how's it going? Yeah, we are going over some summer movies, all the ones that I have seen. I'm reading off all the Easter eggs I have recorded from them in my Moleskine Star Wars book where I keep all my movie Easter eggs. Italian Girl, good to see you too. Yeah, so we've already gone over Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. We've gone over The Flash, Transformers, Spider Man Across the Spider Verse, and Elemental so far. So if y'all want to let me know, what was your favorite movie you saw this summer? That's a lot of notes. Oh, yeah. And this is, I mean, I'll show you from the beginning. Let me see where I go. Ooh. And it started off as something else. Like I would like list like books I wanted to read, and then along with some other stuff, and then it just kept going. So I have like this is going back to the Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Disney Plus. This is going back to Loki season 1, Mandalorian, Hawkeye, Moon Knight, Disney Parks facts that I wrote in here. Oh yeah, and like some of them like I have like crossed out and rewritten so I could read it better. Yeah, I try to go pretty in depth with these. I mean, I think Easter eggs are just a great way to like see a see the directors and the creators' vision in the movie. If they're putting it in there, it's either something to do with the plot, something to parallel to another movie, or just to see their influence on the story and in the characters. How do you keep So that's the thing, Zane. How do you keep track of that during the movie? I don't keep track of it during the movie. This is all afterwards, where um, I get home after a movie and I'll usually like write down a few that I remember, But then after that, it's going on um, other websites like Screen Rant or Looper or something, and because I know the people there have gone into this movie and watched it like several times and watched it with their notebooks. Two of my favorites YouTube channels to watch for this is Super Carlin Brothers and now I forgot the other one, New Rock Stars. Anytime they put out a Easter egg video or review, I make sure to watch it because I know that they go really, really in depth and find the most hidden of Easter eggs, and they are most likely going to find stuff that I did not catch. Even though there have been stuff that I've written down that are not in their videos. That rarely, rarely happens, but it has happened. Yeah, so I like and then on top of that, like seeing like the factual stuff, like there was this line and it was a reference to this movie. Um, they also add in stuff where like they feel that I don't know, the imagery here or the colors chosen here give off some parallel to something else. And while that like remains to be seen or can't really be confirmed, I think it's a good way to see how they view the movie and what message they got from it. Now let me catch up with chat here. That's more notes than I took throughout my whole school career. I used to take a lot of notes and I just don't anymore in school. I know towards the end, other than like math, because I felt like I really needed the practice, but Um, yeah, and especially with teachers who are just like, oh, yes, this will be on the test. And it's like their tests were never like the textbook and their tests were never like the lectures. So I don't know where they were pulling these questions from, but I knew it was pointless to take notes because it was not going to, the information was not going to match up. Oppenheimer, yep, as I was telling chat earlier, I have not seen Oppenheimer or Barbie. Had to keep track of it all. My phone a friend is definitely yes, okay. I will tell you, I've learned a lot of historical facts also from movies because, especially even if it's a fictional movie, if it's set during a time, I don't know, say Captain America, the First Avenger set during World War II, Wonder Woman set during World War One, whatever it may be, they're going to sprinkle in, they're going to have to adjust stuff that happens in the movie to factual stuff that happened during that time or the way culture looked like at that time, which I also think is very interesting and a very creative way to do it. What up, Adriano Zano? I'm 21. How about you? Well, I will let you all guess. Yep, you all can take a guess. It's 4 p.m. What about you? It is just past 6 over here, 6:15. Favorite movie from the summers is Transformers. Yep, excellent, excellent. I really had fun with that movie. I really love the character design of the Transformers in that movie, and seeing the Maximals and Transform and Autobots together was an awesome, awesome scene. All right, Elemental. What's next? Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. So let's get into that. We got a page of notes here. Indiana Jones, a franchise that has really lived up to what I think it was supposed to be. Because if you know the story, George Lucas was trying, wanting to create, yeah, what's the name? James Bond, but set farther back and without the gadgets. So, and that's where he came up with the idea for Indiana Jones, who, if you really think about it, yeah, it's just this lone guy going on adventures and just using his smarts and his wit to solve the puzzle, solve the mystery, beat the bad guy. And I think, and Harrison Ford, obviously, great, great in this role. Absolutely iconic. So Indiana Jones in the Dial of Destiny. So the first thing I have here is Basil, played by forgetting his name. I'm gonna look it up because I don't want to. It's the same guy that plays Zola in the Marvel universe, but and he also played. Wait, hold on, that Dial of Destiny. Toby Jones. Toby Jones. Yes, so he plays Basil in this movie. He played Arnim Zola in Captain America, the First Avenger, Captain America, the Winter Soldier, and voiced the character in the Marvel What If series. And then uh, he's also the voice of Dobby in the Harry Potter movies. But so he's playing Indy's friend Basil in this one, and they're looking for the Lance of Longinus. And this is an actual, let me guess, 25? You're really close. I'll say that. You're really close. All right, so uh, where was my? So this is an actual historical artifact that was the spear that pierced Jesus Christ in the side. 26. There you go. There you go. 26. Nope. Missed it on 24. You got it right the last time. 26. All right. So this was the spear that pierced Jesus Christ in the side, and his in myth and folklore, it's known as the spear. No, do I not have that? Oh, spear, the spear of destiny. That's what it was called. And the thing about that is, not only was this was something that Hitler actually looked for, that he had teams of people looking for because he believed in its power, that or its believed that it had power. And then on top of that, this was actually going to be in Raiders of the Lost Ark. It was going to be the main artifact that Indy would be looking for before they changed it to the Ark of the Covenant. And then beyond that, they did eventually adapt it into a comic book called Indiana Jones and the Spear of Destiny. So they're just bringing that full circle into this script. Indy has the uniform of a dead Nazi, and that's how they kind of find him out later. He's wearing this jacket of a Nazi soldier, but then he has a little bullet hole and blood there. And my camera is running out of battery. That is not good, but I mean, I have backup for that anyway. 4 p.m. for you. Is it 4 p.m.? No, it is 6:20 over here. So he has this bullet hole, and if you've seen the whole movie, that comes back at the end because Indiana Jones is going to get shot, same in place right there on the chest. So a little bit of foreshadowing, wearing that Nazi jacket. I want to see a Star Wars R-rated film. Well, unfortunately, I highly doubt you will ever see that. Um, for one, being owned by Disney, and then two, being created by George Lucas. George Lucas always said that these movies were for kids. So uh, and he was this, they're always going to stay in that PG 13 area so that families can go see it all together. And in the end, Star Wars is a fairy tale. While there might be dark times, it is always going to be a happily ever after in the end. And I don't, and R-rated would only get them being, I guess, more graphic in the violence. But again, then you have lightsabers, which don't leave, and laser blasters, which don't leave any kind of blood or anything. So I don't see any kind of gore or anything going to come from that. Uh, moving on here. Indy throws a Nazi soldier off the train, and you hear the Wilhelm scream, which has been used in lots of different ones, but uh, it's used a lot in like Lucasfilm, especially in Star Wars. In the original Star Wars, a stormtrooper falls off a bridge, and you hear the Wilhelm scream. I wish if I ever have a sound alerts, I want the Wilhelm scream to be one of them. In when you flash forward to the present day in the movie, in 1969 during the year of the moon landing. Well, you can see that Indy has a photo of his son Mutt, who was played by Shia LaBeouf in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And then next to it is an American flag. Oh, and there it is. There. I told you how to back up. Okay, where was I? Yes, so he has an American flag next to it because he was killed in action during, I guess it was the Vietnam War, I believe they said. I did not have that written down, but yeah, he was uh, lost during that time, and he has that photo up there as a reference to the past movie, and obviously just to show his mourning for his son. And right next to it is a photo of Sean Connery, who plays Henry Jones Sr., Indiana Jones' father from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Then there's also this painting that we see in Sean Connery's office in that movie, hung up in Indiana Jones's apartment. A photo of Marion from Raiders of the Lost Ark, who then returned in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And but this photo is her younger, so it would be from the Raiders of the Lost Ark era. Hmm. There's a paint. There's the painting of the soldier walking across an invisible bridge. Another reference to Last Crusade, where Indy has to walk across an invisible bridge to get to the Holy Grail. Helena, the goddaughter, played by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, loved her performance in this one. She also plays L337, the droid in Solo: A Star Wars Story. Hashtag make Solo 2 happen. But she says that she met her friend Teddy when Teddy tried to pickpocket her, which parallels the story of how Indiana Jones met Short Round that he tells in Temple of Doom. You get the classic Indiana Jones map montage where you see a map and you have a picture of a plane with the red dots going to whatever destination they're going to. This was a really big piece of foreshadowing that I did not catch initially during the movie. But there's a puppet show showing the Battle of Syracuse, and it shows the soldiers fighting a dragon, and that'll play into this movie with the time travel and the Roman soldiers believing that a modern day plane is actually a real life dragon. Uh, so obviously that got told and passed down through uh, thousands of years in this movie's timeline, only for it to be based on this time travel expedition. I haven't seen any Indiana Jones movies. I have a lot to watch, but don't worry, they're all on Disney Plus. And I can't believe it took this long for them to be there, for them to own Lucasfilm for this long. I thought once they had uh, once they unveiled Disney Plus and it had all the Star Wars movies, that they would have the Indiana Jones with them, but obviously they waited until this year for that. Uh, oh, Indy just recalls some adventures from past movies. He mentions drinking the blood of Kali and being tortured by voodoo, which both happen in Temple of Doom. Rob the Builder, how's it going, man? Aren't you almost gonna ruin it for your stream? What the heck? Tell us a joke. Oh my gosh. Now you're putting me on the spot, dude. Uh, if I think of one right now, I will gladly tell you a joke. Um, but Rob, we are going through all the movies that I have seen over this summer, and going through all the Easter eggs that I have written down for them. This is not all of it. Where did it go? But it's a few pages back here in my Moleskine Star Wars notebook, my favorite notebook, and I do have another one of these that I have not written in yet. But we have talked about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. We have talked about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Transformers Rise of the Beast, The Flash, Elemental, And now we're going over Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And I was asking the people earlier, what was your favorite movie of the summer? So, Rob, thanks for joining in. Um, would love to hear yours. Let me see what you just said there. Happy to catch your stream. Happy to have you here, Rob. Have I haven't been on one of your streams yet, and I had to join. Thank you so much for being here, Rob. I know you're going to be building. You're going to continue to build on the Hogwarts castle, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So once I'm done here, I'll definitely head over there to check it out. So let's finish up these Indiana Jones Easter eggs. So another bit of foreshadowing here. Archimedes, when they open up the tomb of Archimedes, he's wearing this watch, a modern day watch for the time, and then you realize that it's actually the watch of, why do I keep blanking on this guy's name? He was from Rogue One. The Room of Requirement, yes. What was this guy's name? I'm gonna look it up real quick. Harrison Ford, Toby Jones. I already knew that. Mads Mikkelsen. Mads Mikkelsen. Yes, he was fantastic. One of my favorite actors. Been in all the big franchises. He was Grindelwald in the last Fantastic Beasts movie. He was Casillas in Doctor Strange. He's in Rogue One. He's in this movie. So, and in three of those, one, two, yeah, three of those, he's a villain. So this guy, this guy can play a villain. Real, and I thought he was a really good villain in this movie too. But then you realize that it's that Archimedes got the watch from this Nazi scientist and wore it in his grave. And then finally, we end the movie uh, with Marion and Indy doing the "Where Does It Hurt" game, which they did in Raiders of the Lost Ark, and end the movie with the circle closing around Indy's hat just before he grabs it, putting a bow on this series. And that is the way we will end Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. We have one more movie. Is it just one more? Hmm. Yep. So, final movie here, The Haunted Mansion, 2023 version. Stacked cast with Owen Wilson, Rosario Dawson, Danny DeVito, Tiffany Haddish, Jamie Lee Curtis. And the one this was probably out there and I just totally forgot, but Jared Leto as the Hatbox Ghost. So it was really cool to see him. This guy he went from a vampire in Morbius to a ghost in this one. And I think I preferred him in this one. Need to see Haunted Mansion. Yeah, it's a good time. It was a lot of fun, really funny, and I think it really did do a lot of things right in terms of reference being a adaptation of the ride. I don't have uh, alerts and stuff and redeem, so no one can tell me to hydrate. I have to remind myself. All right, so let's start off with the Haunted Mansion. So first off was the design of the Haunted Mansion in the movie. Right away when I saw that one in the trailer, I said like that is very much based on the Disneyland version. And on top of that, the mansion is in Louisiana, outside of New Orleans. And if you go to Disneyland, the Haunted Mansion is in a section of the park known as New Orleans Square. It's in a different land. If I remember this correctly, the Haunted Mansion at every Disney park is in a different land. Yeah, so in Disneyland, it's in New Orleans Square. So in this movie, they set it in New Orleans. Just finished up dinner and ate. Well, glad to see you back. We need to get you some alerts. Yes. Yeah, and then I have to set the time to put them up and all that. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. I love the alerts. I know some people have those Star Wars clips and Marvel clips and Pokemon and all the other cool ones, and I have a lot of ideas of like what I would want, and I know it's going to take some time to put those together. But once I get more used to it, I want to scare you, Gina. You already do, but I know you were had a good time scaring Snowfox on the stream the other day or last night, really. All right, so we have Travis opens the door with a lion head and a snake handle on it, and I feel like I'm going to be repeating a lot of stuff just because I'm going to say, oh, that was on the ride. And yeah, so starting right here, there's a door with a lion head and a snake handle for a handle, and that is something that you would see on the ride. Um, this was something I loved uh, when I was watching the movie that I saw right away. They try to escape the mansion once they see it's haunted, but then the ghosts follow them home, which is, of course, part of the ending of the actual ride when your doom buggy faces a mirror and you see the ghost in the buggy with you. That was just a great, great callback to the ride. So the villain of the movie is the Hatbox Ghost, which has a long history with the ride, starting at Disneyland. And if you can picture him at Disneyland, he has like the top hat, he has the collar pulled up in the cloak, and he has the hat box. And then at one point, his head will disappear and appear in the hat box. But for a while, the effect wasn't working properly, so they took him out of the ride. And then later on, they brought him back, and now he even incorporated him at the Walt Disney World version. Fix is around East Coast. You from West or East Coast? I am from Central Time Zone, Texas. Not East or West. Right in the middle. All right. Oh, so you have Rosario Dawson's son in the movie is named Travis, and you see him playing a lot with action figures. And if you get a glimpse of them, they're all Marvel action figures. You have Black Panther. You see Storm from the X-Men, Namor, who we just saw the live action debut in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, and at one point he also plays a Marvel version of Monopoly, which I would love to have. I love themed versions of Monopoly, especially when they have like little figurines of characters for the pieces. I had, and I say that mainly because I had I still do. I have a Star Wars Monopoly where they're pretty nice metal pieces of like R2D2 and not C-3PO, Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker. And then when I was younger, I had a Shrek Monopoly, and all the pieces were cardboard and they deteriorated over time. Would have really preferred for them to be at least plastic or something, little figurines. I digress. Ben, our really main character here, he gets followed by the Mariner Ghost, and in the Tokyo version and the Walt Disney World version, there is a big painting of a Mariner Ghost in the ride. It mentions the Duelist Brothers. That's also part of Tokyo, Disneyland, and Walt Disney World rides. Yeah, the bus with the eyes that follow you, they incorporated that. The floating candelabra. Here we go. So we have William Gracie was the owner of the mansion, and he was also one of the main characters in the previous version of the Haunted Mansion movie. And there is a tombstone for Master Gracie at the Haunted Mansion ride. And this name actually comes from an Imagineer. His name was Yale Gracie, who worked on Haunted Mansion. Tiffany Haddish's character Harriet, she mentions that she was followed home by a ghost horse. And at first, I didn't really get the reference or if this was supposed to be something there. But but then I saw pictures. I'm like, oh, outside the haunted mansion is a carriage, and like the strap for the horse is obviously empty, but it's floating. So obviously it's a ghost horse, and that's kind of the connection that they're trying to make there. Then we have Harriet. She's in this chair with like this big round cover over it, and then a ghost pushes her through the halls of the mansion and then outside. And that's very much what you would go through in the haunted mansion with the chair, with the doom buggy that kind of comes up over you, and then the chair turning and going through the house, obviously. Ben, Ben's chair in the seance room is a chair that you see on the ride. Chair with the raven also on the ride. Oh, so there's a ghost of a man and a dog out in the cemetery area, and but in the ride, this character is actually alive. You see him after you turn backwards. You see the bride in the attic, and then you turn backwards, and then you're in the cemetery. Yeah, there you go. And then the first person you see there is the caretaker of the mansion and the dog, but these are alive, and in the movie they show them as ghosts. But yo yo yo, what it do? Hey there, Shane Glaze. Welcome to the stream. We are going over all the movies I have seen this summer and going through the Easter eggs that I have collected from all of them. We have been going through Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Spider Man Across the Spider Verse, Transformers Rise of the Beast, The Flash, Elemental, Indiana Jones The Dial of Destiny, and the last movie here is Haunted Mansion 2023 version. And I've been asking the people, what is your favorite movie that you've seen this summer? So, Shane Glaze, if you'd like to share that, I'd love to hear it. Dozing off, Gina, thank you so much for stopping by. Hope to see you again, and I'll definitely be seeing you in some other chats, I'm sure. All right, so then we have. Hmm, okay, the hitchhiking ghost. So we get a direct reference to the hitchhiking ghost from the ride in this movie. They're doing the little hitchhiking sign, obviously. Phineas, Gus, and Ezra. Those are the three hitchhiking ghosts, standing in the same position, all three together in there. You see a lot of paintings from the ride, like what's called April to December and the Werecat Lady. You have a ghost that's playing the organ, which again, that's taken from the ballroom section of the probably the most famous section of the ride is the ballroom section. Um, and then you have the Hatbox Ghost is named Alistair Crump. So they kind of taken some liberties here, but I mean, it's a new version and it's all within Disney, so they can move stuff around if they need to. But Crump is the last name of the caregiver, and they're giving the villain of the Hatbox Ghost, the name Alistair Crump. So I don't think the two will coincide with each other, but but it's a nice still connection there for the movie. They spend a lot of time looking, doing their plan for how to get rid of the ghosts in the library section of the Haunted Mansion, and that one is that is kind of a recreation, or at least very much inspired by the Walt Disney World and Tokyo versions. And then, oh, probably my favorite part in there is the stretching room where Ben and Travis are trapped in there, and then the doors and the windows disappear. So you're in a room with no windows and no doors and no way out, which is very much the same as the beginning of the Haunted Mansion ride, where you're introduced to the ghost host and you get the whole spiel of 99 happy haunts and room for 1,000. But then you get to see all the paintings, which is very very cool. You have the people in quicksand. You have the guy or the lady standing over the tightrope with the crocodiles. You have the lady on the tombstone of her husband, and who's the other guy? I'm trying to remember the paintings in order there. The guy standing on a barrel of dynamite. And then they recreate all these for this scene, and all this is coming to life as they're trapped and trying to get out of there. So Ben is sinking in quicksand, and we see the picture of the people in quicksand. There's dynamite, and we see the picture in dynamite. Crocodiles start climbing up the walls to get them, and we see the picture of the crocodile lady standing over the crocodiles. There's also the breathing door. So yeah, so they shut this door, and it's still pulsing, pulsing, pulsing. Very much reminiscent of something that you would see on the ride. The trees, the chains, and the metal. Hmm. And okay, so you have that final scene where they're trying to get rid of the Hatbox Ghost, and it very much resembles the end of the ride with all the tombstones in the graveyard and all the ghosts flying back and forth. Um, and you end the movie with the ballroom scene, probably the most famous thing that you have seen in the Haunted Mansion again. If you know, you know, when you go on the Haunted Mansion ride and you ride on the second floor as you look down and you see the ghosts dancing in the ballroom there, and they're playing Grim Grinning Ghost, the song from the ride. And but it's a more like New Orleans Cajun style, or rather jazz style version of it. But I still love when they do nods like that. Um, let's see, and then you end the movie with Kent, who was Owen Wilson's character, and again, I'm talking all spoilers today, but he proclaims to be a priest in the movie, but then at the end he revealed that he just works at a costume shop and he uses the outfit of a priest so that people will pay him to do exorcisms. So he's not really a priest, but it's Halloween and he's wearing a Run DMC costume, which so much going on there because obviously Run DMC, most famous member is Rev Run. So he would go. So he is still dressed as a reverend technically. Well, because then Rev Run did become a reverend after his time with the group. Um, what is this? Sorry, something else here. All right, and then he's been talking. And then at the end of the movie, we talk about well, during the middle of the movie, Ben was talking about his late wife, who really liked teeter tots, and Harriet was talking about how she gets these ghost winks from a loved one who had passed on. Um, and at the end of the movie, there's this cat that had been sitting on Ben's porch for a few times we see throughout the movie. And then when he finds that this cat has no owner, but the name on the or does look like a stray cat that had run away or something, but turns over the collar and finds that the name is Tater Tot. And so a little ghost wink there to his late wife. And we close the movie on that. Again, I had a lot of fun with that movie. I loved all the references to the rides. And holy cow, did I totally skip something here? I think I did. Well, so part of the movie, they have to get a piece, something that was owned by the Hatbox Ghost when he was still living. And so they go to a place, to a museum where they're giving tours about this guy's life. And at one point, somebody, or like the tour guide, gets on a piano and starts playing a tune. And it's actually the tune to It's a Small World. And that is actually like the distraction that allows the characters to go and find the actual hat that the Hatbox Ghost wore when he was alive. But it's in the background; you just hear it. But it's like if you've been to Disney, especially as many times as I have, and you hear those few notes, you know the song right away. And that is everything. Other than that, I mean, I have notes here on some things. these these kind of fun these kinds of things are fun to learn. I am glad you enjoy that, Gina. This is um, in terms of movies, I love watching movies and I love all these little references especially when they get really, really clever with it. Um, so I was like really, really happy to see all these great Easter eggs in the movies over the summer. And like I said, the only other things I have here from the summer are like trailers and from Secret Invasion as well. I don't think I'm going to get into that. I'll probably do more stuff, especially when Ahsoka and Loki season 2 starts coming out. There's going to be a lot of stuff to dig into there. But I'm going to come here and chat for a few minutes if anyone, or maybe people want to give me suggestions on what they would like to see next. Ahsoka, yes, definitely will be doing Ahsoka. You can catch, you'll be getting reels from me the week after an episode drops. I always give people a week to see the episode. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, it is at Danny Fandoms there. YouTube as well. YouTube, I'll be posting YouTube shorts about it. Danny Fandoms, and uh, yeah, I'm really excited about that series. I just saw that we're going to get it actually a day earlier, so we'll be getting it Tuesday night, which will be a lot of fun. So if they come out Tuesday night, I'm still going to count it as like Wednesday. So yeah, because that's kind of how I space out my reels anyway. So if episode 1 and 2 drop on Tuesday night, you'll get the reel with the Easter eggs the next Wednesday. Uh, Man, I know it's been released that like the runtime is going to be um, like an hour, little over an hour and a half for both episodes combined. Man, if and it's Dave Filoni. I'm sure he's gonna pack it with references to Rebels, to Star Wars lore. Um, I'm really, really excited about it. I already loved all the trailers and promotional stuff they've been doing. I saw that like a lot of people got invited to the premiere, which would have been so cool. They posted that video about um, all the all the people outside the Millennium Falcon at Galaxy's Edge lighting up white lightsabers, which just looks so awesome. And then of course Ahsoka coming to Disneyland as a character, as a walk around character. So I'm sure a lot of people are going to be interested in that. I'm gonna check something out real quick over here. Carly's live. Princess Kimmy is live. It's Rob the Builder is live. So I'm not ending stream quite yet. I'll be there here for a few more minutes. Um, but I wanted to ask y'all, how do you rate? Because I do not know how to do that. I know I had seen somebody asked it in the comments of somebody else's stream also, and I did not. And I was gonna screen capture their response, but I did not get to. Oh gosh. So if anyone wants to tell me how to raid, I would be very much appreciative of that. But yeah. So what else do we have here? So we have Loki season 2 coming out. Thanks, Steve. All right, so we had Loki season 2 coming out. Love the first trailer, and then we got this McDonald's trailer for it, which was so good because it shows like all these clips of TV and movies that show of when McDonald's was featured in it, and at the end it just says like McDonald's featured in, and then all these movie titles start rolling, and then at the end it says and Loki, and then you see Sylvie there in her McDonald's uniform, Loki there at the register, Mobius talking about getting an apple pie. I think it's a great trailer. Oh wait, can I just do this? I think I can. I think I know how to do it, actually. I think I can do it from my phone. So we're going to see how this goes. Hold on. Let me check this out. Well, I think we're gonna raid Rob the Builder. Rob's an awesome guy. He talks about he's building Lego over there. He is a big Star Wars, Harry Potter, Marvel fan. Big nerd just like me. I really appreciate him popping into the chat here. So I think we are going to go and raid him. This was a lot of fun, guys. I thought I was going to be able to show you all how I make a reel for Easter eggs, but probably have to do that next time. When that is, I don't know. I would hope for Tuesday. If not, for sure this next coming weekend. And I'll put it out there on Discords and socials and stuff. But thank you all for being here. Thanks for listening to the Easter eggs and giving your input on your favorite movies this summer. So I will put a cap on that. And let's all go say hi to Rob the Builder. Okay, I'm doing it from my phone, and it says starting in 81. Okay, there we go. So I can put a rate now. I am learning as we go, guys.